All right, welcome, kings and queens. Today we are talking Erica Mena. Listen, I got you. I promised you all that I was coming back. I was going to spin the block on Erica Mena, and here we are, baby. Here we are today on Saturday, October 28th. It is my birthday.
I'm a bad influence.
But your girl was not going to leave town. Queen Sheba was not going to leave town and step on that cruise ship. But before she gave you this content, this exclusive content, the recap and review of Erica Mena sit down with Carlos King, honey. I'm going to try to do this justice on my birthday, y'all. I woke up early. I said, birthday girl. And she said, huh? I said, go ahead and lay that content out on Erica Mena. Don't let us slip through the cracks, Queen. And here we are, y'all. We about to talk about it. This exclusive interview that Erica Mena did with Carlos King. But before we do, honey, let me tell you something. Y'all, I believe in when you find something good, you share it. And honey, I got my hair done this week. This is not a paid advertisement. Trust me, I'm doing this because I want to and I want to share something with you. I got my hair done. And baby, this hair that I have been using from The Hair Boutique. Y'all, it is everything. You hear me? And it's affordable. So I'm just going to share with y'all, baby, it is versatile, affordable, flexible hair, however you want to describe hair. Some of the best hair I've ever had the pleasure of wearing. And I want to thank my stylist, Laid by Carl. Carl's been doing my hair ever since he was 16 years old. And when I tell you he can lay it, honey, he can lay it down. But anywho, let's get into this Erica Mena content because, baby, we got to talk. And let me ask y'all something. Do y'all want to go live after this while I'm on my way to the cruise terminal? Do y'all want to go live after this while I'm on my way to the cruise terminal? Leave it in the chat because if so, I can make it happen. I can now it may not be long, but I can make it happen. But let's get into it. For those of you who are just tuned in or if you're new to the channel, oh, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Before I start, let me ask you, have you seen the interview? Have you seen the interview? And if so, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the interview? What did you gather from the interview? All right, because I saw the interview, I listened very carefully, and I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. This may be a biased interview. I'm going to do my best. I'm not a fan of Erica Mena. I don't think she's sorry. I think Erica is just Erica. I think she's doing what she came to do, and that's to create a spot in this world and create a name for herself as a Latina woman. She made that very clear. She made that very clear. And if the doors of a love and a hip hop franchise is going to allow her to do it, then she's going to take it, honey. She's going to take the ball and run with it. And in my opinion, that's exactly what she did. Erica painted a very vivid picture of being extremely competitive with the likes of Black women first reggae, like reggae women, the reggaeton community, the reggae community. So I'm thinking my Jamaicans, my New Yorkers that are from the islands. So she's had a very competitive spirit, a competitive energy towards Black women based on what I've gathered from the interview from a very young age. Could that explain a lot of what we're seeing play out on the television? I'm going to try not to go too deep yet, but let's get into it. So, when they started off the interview, a couple of things jumped out at me. She said, this had to have happened when Carlos said, well, how do you feel about all of this? And what he's talking about is just her end, the door closing. Um, Basically her receiving her walking papers from Love and Hip Hop because of the racial slur that she used, and I'm calling it a racial slur. The racial slur that she used towards a Black woman. And you know what she said? She said, "You know what? It was coming to an end anyway." I am paraphrasing. I'm not using her direct words, but I'm paraphrasing. She said this had to happen. I was in need of my freedom. You know, I needed a way out. Essentially, the freedom that I was looking for this scenario gave me the freedom that I needed. And I paused. I said, okay. But I thought, you know what? What are you expecting? It's Erica Mena. She's going to shoot straight from the hip. So basically, what I took away from it was the fact that you verbally abused a Black woman gave you your ticket to freedom. Now, I want y'all to think about freedom. In and of itself, me calling her a monkey, a blue monkey, you know what? This actually worked out for me because it was the freedom that I needed. Remember, I am paraphrasing. I am not using her direct words. And also, I am recapping and giving you my thoughts and my insights on the review. She did share that she was in foster care at a very early age, introduced to the foster care system. Her mother was a street woman. Let's call it what we want, a street woman. And when I say street woman, I'm not necessarily talking about sex. I am talking about a runner. It sounds like her dad was a drug dealer and her mother ran drugs for her father, and she caught a case behind it. As a result, Erica was placed in the foster care system, being one of the youngest of four girls. Okay. Now, one thing she did share that while in foster care from age 2 to 6, she was molested. And she didn't give much detail around that. She did share that's where a lot of her anger stemmed from. And you know what? I'm going to show a little bit of grace for a quick second. I can understand that through your adolescent years, maybe even your early 20s. But now, but now, you are a grown ass woman. You are a mother, and there is no excuse for you to continue to carry that anger with you like an accessory, a purse on your shoulder when you have the financial capability to see and work with a therapist. Now, I don't know if she's working with a therapist or not, but in this first episode of this interview, she did not mention such a thing. Work appears to be her therapy. Hustling appears to be her therapy. The grind of it all appears to be her therapy. And actually, if we backed up a little bit, she painted a very vivid picture of being a party girl for a number of years. So you can miss me with the anger part because that's no excuse. We've all gone through stuff. It is your responsibility to carry your pain in a very responsible and healing manner. Your anger and your childhood trauma does not give you an excuse to shit on Black women. Let's move on. Later on in the interview, Erica introduces the topic of diversity into the equation. Follow me very closely. She shared that her mother, after her mother was able to clean up her life, she went to prison. She did her time. Her mother came out. Her mother was actually staying in a halfway house. Her mother, y'all, ended up marrying a counselor from the halfway house. Child, these niggas ain't nothing. They say, here it is. He's supposed to be at work, rehabilitating, right? Former inmates, and he fallen in love. But it worked out. I'm just telling you, that's a violation, sir. But anywho, the counselor that was working with her while her mother was in the halfway house, they ended up falling in love, getting married. Erica did say that this man was the best thing that could have happened to her, okay, and her family. And this man brought stability to the home. This man showed her what a real father is supposed to be to a little girl. This man created a safe place for her and gave her that psychological safety that she never had. But let me back up. Let me back up really quickly. When we talk about psychological safety, she mentioned that she was molested. She was molested while in foster care, and she was in the system for about I'm going to say about 4 years. I couldn't help but to think, based on her outburst, her outrage against Black people, the thought occurred to me. And I said, I wonder, and my question is, I wonder if she was molested by a Black family. I would love to have known. Can you describe the family? 'Cause maybe that, I don't know. Maybe that is the anger and the symbolism of it all is because somebody in that family now I'm just this is just a question. This is all hypothetical, but I wonder. But I guess we'll never know, okay? She did mention that during the time that molestation happened to her, it was during a time that, most people didn't talk about it. It was not sensationalized, which is true. I gotta give her that. But that was just a thought I had about the molestation piece. Yeah, so her mother ended up marrying this man, getting cozy with a counselor while she was in a halfway house, and it ended up changing her mother's life. And her mother took on a caretaker role. And Erica shared that her mother took care of disabled people with cerebral palsy. And I hope I'm saying that correctly. Now, this created an opportunity for her to open the door to say that she's always been around Black people, minorities, diverse people. So when she's saying that, I thought to myself, okay, the Black people that it seems or appear that you've been exposed to have been disabled, right? And by way of your mother taking care of disabled people. That's what I took away from that. She didn't elaborate, but that's the visual picture that she painted. And she said, not only that, she and her sisters would listen to different music, right? And that's how she got exposed. You got to follow people very closely. Got exposed to diversity, culture, hip hop, all of those good things. She said they'd listen to salsa merengue, and depending on what was on the radio, they'd also listen to a little bit of Mary J. Blige, hip hop. Now, I thought, okay, she's describing Black culture. But I gotta hold Black folks accountable because Black people, this is where we gotta do better as a people and as a community. We are more. We are so much more than what's on the radio. We are so much more than a song or a Mary J. Blige or Al Green or a rap song, right? We are so much more than a cookout. We are so much more than a plate of oxtails and cabbage and beans and cornbread. Y'all, but that's the takeaway most of us give to other races because we've shied away, in my opinion, from Blackness. Some of us, deem cultural awareness and cultural practices as extreme, loud, too Black, uh, taboo. You get what I'm saying? When the likes of a Erica Mena spats off diversity and begins to describe Black culture, and she throws out a couple of songs that she's heard on the radio or a couple of disabled people that her mother has taken care of, we felt ourselves because we are so much more than that. Okay? We are so much more than that. Bulk, a huge portion, I'm going to just say about all of this interview, about 98% of this interview was primarily focused on Erica Mena and who she is, which leads me to believe part two may just be a snippet of why she called Spice a blue monkey. Okay. Because they didn't get into any of that in this first interview. And I think they should have. I think this would have been a great introduction and we could have took care of who you are later because what the people came for, I'm sorry, is to hear your stance, meaning you, Erica Mena, and your thoughts. We want to hear your reason because in my opinion, Erica's not sorry. She said she wasn't sorry a week or so after it happened. She said what she said and she meant it. I believe her. When people show you who they are, you believe them. So it ain't really nothing you can say following that post statement, okay, that can make me change my mind. I believe exactly what you said. Why should I not? You know what I mean? Why am I not going to believe you when you said you were not sorry and if you had the opportunity to do it again, you would take the same stance and say the same thing. So, Erica shared that some of her fondest memories in the Bronx was learning the reggae culture. That she and her sisters, they would take her to these parties as a Latina Spanish woman. But she wasn't a woman then. She was a girl. And I'm going to guess in her teens. So she was exposed to the street life, the party life at a very young age. And in my opinion, I think she came to learn very quickly that her skin tone and her beauty and her looks was appealing to African American men, Jamaican men, and men of the African descent. So her sisters, this is the way she described the introduction to the reggae culture, that her sisters would take her there to dance off against the reggae queens to win money. I'm assuming she was a good dancer. So she said I would go to these parties and she lit up, y'all. She lit up like a Christmas tree. She said she would go to these parties as a Spanish woman and stunt. She used the word stunt on those black queens. But she didn't say those black queens. But I knew exactly what she meant on the black women of the reggae culture. She said I would stun on them. To me, reggae culture is they have a very pronounced way of dancing. So it sounds like she was able to study the rhythm, the energy of those black queens, and would come back and gyrate and reproduce and clone. And she would, quote unquote, beat them by stunting on them. Are y'all following me? Okay. Do you understand or can you visualize the situation? Black parties in the Bronx, East Coast flair, New York environment. Erica Mena, a Latina woman learning the moves. She's learning, watching the black women, taking taking in all of it. Okay. And going back. And the assignment is to beat the best. And the best are the black girls. Now, that's checkmate from a standpoint of a Erica Mena. That is checkmate, checkmate, checkmate all day long. Once I beat the best, which is the black girls, I win. Are y'all following me? At an early age, Erica Mena developed a competitive stance towards black women, island women in particular. Because when you think about reggae and Afro beats, that's before we called it all of that, right? That's a particular sector. Okay, so from a very early age, she established a competitive stance, a competitive ideology. Beat them, earn the top spot. And this is what I'm taking away based on what she shared. Now, if the black queens are being outmaneuvered or stunted on, in her words, now who becomes queen? You following me? If she's going into their neighborhoods, their parties, their environments, and stunting on the queens and pushing them aside where they're no longer competition, who becomes the new queen? Who becomes the new idol in the eye of the beholder? If she's the new queen, who remains king? In your opinion, as you visualize this, who was probably more likely to hype her up to go against those black women outside of her sisters taking her there? Because she didn't compete. She didn't go to Spanish parties to compete. She went to these reggae parties to compete against black women. So who was probably hyping her up outside of her sisters? I'll wait. I'm going to sit and wait on this one. Y'all type it in the chat in your opinion. Okay. And they did it. The men, y'all. If I didn't say it, I thought it was understood. The men, the black kings hyped her up, not understanding the severity or the subliminal setup that they were creating of Latin versus black. and igniting the fire within her, the anger within her that she had not healed. So now I'm going to channel all of that towards you black and blue monkeys as I get older. Okay? If I can stunt on these black monkeys, I'll continue to stunt on them. Erica Mena has a history of referring to black people as monkeys. I did it then, I'll do it now, and I'll continue to do it. And not only that, I'm not sorry because you've been stunting on these hoes, these monkeys for years to come. And she also said that she feels like she was brought on to Love and Hip Hop because Mona Scott needed a Latin queen. Spice, listen to me. That's why Erica Mena doesn't like you. She's been stunting on girls like you all her life. And she's been winning and she's received the applause of the black men, the African men, the Jamaican men, the reggae men, all along the way. So you were supposed to be easy breezy, like taking candy from a baby. But Erica Mena does not like you, Spice, because she couldn't break you. She couldn't dethrone your confidence as a reggae queen, right? Like she did and she has done. It ain't about the music, y'all. When we talk about, oh, it was just dancing. No, 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 no. For everybody else, it was dancing, not for her, because she had suppressed anger. Kids, research shows that people who get abused are likely to become predators. I'm not saying that when I say a predator, I'm not necessarily talking about an an abuser. People who are violated as children often violate others when they do not receive the therapeutic intervention that they need. Okay? Period, point blank. That's scientific study, that's research. And I did not hear Erica Mena mention anything about therapy yet. Maybe she will in the second interview. So, Spice, that's why she violated you, because she couldn't break you. She couldn't break your soul, she couldn't break your spirit. For we war not against flesh and blood, but principalities, honey. It's the principle of it. We talked about the principle when we reviewed the last Love and Marriage Huntsville episode, and I challenged you all to turn those emotional hats to the back and look at the principle. The principle of this is Spice is a dark skinned woman, a very curvy woman, a woman that Erica probably looks at and thinks to herself, I know you don't have the audacity to speak back to me, to challenge me because of my aesthetics. And my aesthetics have carried me a long way with black men. So don't you open your blue monkey mouth and dare think you can challenge me because I will stun on you. I will dethrone you. I will use my mouth to violate you in every which way. And I am going to call out what I feel like are your deficiencies, your flaws, the things that make you unattractive, or at least unattractive to me. Y'all get where I'm going with this? Spice is a dark skinned woman whom Erica underestimated, in my opinion, by attacking her blackness. See, you thought because you attacked her blackness, and I'll tell you why, because it's probably worked in the past with other black women. Come on now. People do what works. People abandon behaviors, strategies that do not work. We repeat the things that have worked for us, right? So she does it and she did it because it's worked in the past. It's probably shut a lot of women up and caused them to fold, but not Spice. I want to say something real quick because I don't believe we say it enough. Black women, you are beautifully powerful, and everybody knows it but you, which is why you've become public enemy number one. And the sad thing is, even black men are wanting to devalue some black men, are wanting and trying desperately to devalue and dethrone your confidence and your position of authority. Okay? Look at how black women are being depicted in television, movies, and even reality television. Now, I expect it from the white producers and the filmmakers. It is what it is when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? We up against a system that wasn't meant to be inclusive for us. So I expect that from that side. But when it comes from the likes of a black producer and the likes of the Tyler Perrys of the world, where you're sowing seeds of discord and disrespect, yeah, mm, that's a powerful message, ladies. Be very careful. Like they say, stay woke, wake up. The subliminal message of it all. Are you aware of the message? They want you to buy into the notion that happiness for you as a black woman, happiness, healing, wholeness is like finding a needle in the haystack for you. And you should be happy just to get a man, even if he cannot step into the home and be the provider under the system that God has ordained for man and woman to partake. I am going to pause. It has been, there is an attempt to dethrone your confidence, to dethrone your expectations. How can we say we're hoping for the best on every level, and then the likes of a Tyler Perry comes on social media and say, listen, if he can't pay nothing but the light bill, it's okay. It's okay. The devil is a liar. And you've got to start rebuking subliminal messages of oppression that comes through and flows through. The devil is a liar. And you've got to be able to say to yourself, it's not okay for me. That may be okay for you. That's not okay for me, because if I'm living with the expectation that I'm supposed to be blessed on every level, that means every level. And none of the black men took a public stance. Kirk should have been the first one because he black as hell. None of the black men took a public stance. I'm going to leave that right there. Not one of them came to Spice's defense when Erica called her a monkey. And they are the gatekeepers, right? Or they're supposed to be the gatekeepers. They're supposed to be the leaders of the community. But check it out. They've bowed out, ladies. And you know why? They've bowed out. And they bowed out of that one. They left the gate unguarded. I love when Mama D says, guards, guards. There were no guards at the gate. And I'll tell you why. Because Spice was too black. She too black. She too fat. She not pretty. So Erica has a right to say what she says. Y'all, this is a little raw, rugged, and real, but I got to give it to you so that you stay woke. And now you understand the full spectrum of what's going on. Yeah. And technically, to be honest with you, they abandoned their position as leaders and gatekeepers because it didn't happen to them. And as long as it's happening to us and not them, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. I just want to cover really quickly. She talked about her relationship with DJ Envy. She's claiming to not have known that he was married. And her reason, her technicality is he did not use the word wife when describing his relationship. He used the word mother of my children. Erica Mena, bye. You're a bold-faced liar. Even if he did not use the word why, I have a sneaky feeling and a funny suspicion that you knew he was in a relationship, because when the wife called you, you hung up. Women that have no idea what the hell is going on will be shocked, confused, and completely caught off guard. There's no need to hang up. We would be curious. What? Oh my God. You hung up. You hung up because you knew, in my opinion, and allegedly. You knew he was in a relationship. Now, she claims that he wanted her to not say anything because he needed to make sure that his wife, his black wife, did not try to take half of his fortune, half of his earnings. And she also claimed that he had a broken household. How you know that? How do you know his shit was broken if you didn't know he was married? You shouldn't know anything about anybody's household if you didn't know he was married. I rest my case. I'm gonna move on to Safari. She dated Safari. She said he was corny. She claimed that Safari tricked her when she met him, and all of that. She also said that he was with another woman when she met him. And listen, he laced her with compliments. He sung her praises in front of his then woman. And she said she found that extremely disrespectful. Erica, but it wasn't disrespectful enough for you to walk away because you ended up marrying him and having children with him. Because if he's lacing you with compliments and you're telling Carlos, that was so disrespectful, that was so low vibrational, that was this, that was that, why did you spend the block on a man that would do that to another woman? Okay. Now, although disrespectful, it did not stop you from getting with him. Now, I have a funny feeling and a sneaky suspicion that you wanted him because a black girl by the name of Nicki Minaj had him first. Oh, yeah, that's what you get for competing with black women. And little did you know, sweetheart, the joke was on you.
I'm a bad influence.